Hey everyone, Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler, with another What Sold on eBay live streaming video. It is Sunday. Hope everyone is having an amazing day so far, an amazing week. Tomorrow is Monday. We start this whole other show all over again tomorrow. Hope everyone had some great sales this weekend. We had some pretty good sales this weekend. We're going to go over some of this stuff right now. But first, if you're not subscribed to the channel, definitely go down there, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications most definitely, and click the like button at any time during this video. That helps the algorithm and all the people see the show. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone, all the subscribers. We're growing every day, so I really appreciate that. It really keeps me motivated and going, so I just want to say I really appreciate everyone who tunes in, who leaves comments, who joins the chat, and all that fun stuff. And I hope that I'm providing some sort of service for someone out there. And if you're not commenting and you're watching out there, you're a lurker. You know who you are. If you're not going to comment, just at least click the like button. That helps the channel, keeps going and going and going. So once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. Let's get into what sold on eBay this week. First up, we have this Colfax Public Schools High School Town Building real postcard from Iowa. We got a huge lot of real postcards in, and this is some of them. I basically started these at $74.99 with bidding, just to see where they're at. So the thing with real postcards, I mean, I'm not no expert at them by any stretch of the imagination. But what happens is when you get to sell these long enough, you get to understand like some of the pricing and everything. And some of the like more obscure cities usually are worth a lot of money, historical ones. And so for me, I didn't have really much of a baseline for these things, so I basically set them all at $74.99 with bidding, and I just wrote it out and see what happened. And I just had actually to relist a bunch of them. They didn't really sell, but we did get a pretty good amount of offers from this. For those that don't know, you can actually do bidding with offers. So, you know, if you set it at $9.99 and someone bids, you know, someone might send you an offer for those. And that's what happened with this one. We actually took a best offer for $18 on this one. So that was a pretty good sale. So look out for real postcards. And for those that don't know, real photo postcards are basically photos they're pretty much not printed. They're pretty much photos. If you take your jeweler's loop and you look at them, most definitely you'll see like there's no little dot patterns like newspapers. I want to give a shout out to everyone who is in the chat. We got Ann Avery, we got Deals watching from Utah, just me, and I appreciate that. Always informative. I really appreciate that for sure. Definitely click the like button and let all your friends know what's going on. Let's get into the next item here. We're going over some of the stuff. We just started too, so if you just tuned in, you just made it. We collected some art the other day from another shop, and I brought it into the studio. We took photographs of them, and I did my fair share of research on each one of these paintings. From the Friday, basically paint fiasco with I think I listed about, I want to say I listed probably about 10 paintings or more. We actually had a best offer for $400 on this one, and these are actually ones that you can find at thrift stores. This one's was pretty much out of a thrift store. I don't know what the retail was on this, but I know for sure it wasn't $400. But the thing is, you know, everyone's going into thrift stores looking for Andy Warhol and stuff like that, but there's like literally thousands and thousands and thousands of other unknown artists that people actually collect and stuff. This one is a lady from Italy, Federica Ravizza. I'm probably butchering that name, but it's one of those things where it's pretty easy, you know, once you check the signature and things like that. The signature on this one was actually really tough to figure out, but you can actually see it. It's Ravizza. once you do the art stuff for long enough, you start to kind of pick up on things. And you can also use a reverse imaging Google search if you're like really stuck on a particular painting. You can actually do thing. Oh yeah, so you're saying only 30 to ship. We have special arrangements with shipping providers, so we can actually give a discount to our clients. So we have a special arrangement with different shipping providers. This will actually ship like in a kind of, it's not as big as it looks, and this will actually ship. We have like specialty boxes for art, and it'll just go right in there and ship with that. So yeah, this was actually a really good sale. Probably this was the best sale of the weekend, for sure. Next up, we have these vintage Gucci glasses. We talked about these before. I forget how much we got for these last time, but the buyer didn't pay for them, and I want to say it was they bought these for higher than what we got for these this time around. And for those that are in the eBay business, you know that you get these, really high priced offers. You accept them. They take like 2 or 3 days to pay. They never pay, and then you have to go through the whole, unpaid buyer thing, which you could set up automation tools for that, and we usually have it for 48 hours. If someone doesn't pay in 48 hours, then we just go through the whole process of doing that. But anyways, this is the second time we list these. These are pretty rare Gucci glasses, kind of like bar wear. And when we first got these, I didn't know exactly what they were because they kind of look like, fakes or something like that. But once I did my research, they're pretty much older barware high cocktail glasses, the set of 4. The only known comps on these were a green, I think it was green and yellow stripes. These ones happen to actually be blue and red. So, I mean, glassware is something that is one of those things that I wanted to look for or study more this year. I'm very weak at jewelry and glassware, so I've been studying big time on this. Adam Exploits, hey, good to see you too, man. And so it's kind of funny actually. Now when I go into Goodwills, I usually, go straight to the toys and the DVDs and stuff like that, looking for games. And then I hit up the t-shirts, but now I find myself more and more going straight to the glass, because once you know about crystal and different pottery and stuff that can go for hundreds of dollars, it's just like art. When you go into Goodwill, there's rarely people like digging through the art. Everyone's doing the bread and butter stuff because it's just so easy to do. But that was one of my things this year, was to learn about glass. Anyways, we took a best offer for, I want to say 250 on these. As we can see here, Gucci is stamped on the bottom. I try to figure out what year these were from, so I'm guessing they're anywhere between the 40s and the 50s. I'm not exactly completely sure, and you see I got my white gloves on for the glass stuff. Usually you'll see me with the white gloves on. And of course I always do, like, when I can, measurement photos in the photos. Just kind of a little extra thing. I mean, you usually put that stuff in the description, but if there's something visually stunning or visually compelling for a buyer to see, that stuff without having to actually look. Adam Exploits is saying, I'm afraid to ship glassware between actual breakage and people with broken things scamming me. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things. I mean, if you pack them well, you should be fine with breakage. I have a little thing where I use peanuts for glass, and what that happens is when you use like paper or some kind of solid dunnage when it comes to glass, when gravity, when it drops, if you have like solid bubble, it can tend to break because of just shock impact. But peanuts have like kind of void in between them all. So when actually something drops, it'll kind of cushion it's kind of hard to explain, but I highly suggest when you're shipping glass to use packing peanuts in between everything, because of it gives. It's not as stringent, and people think like, oh, if I wrap it up in bubble, it'll be fine. But when you think about it, when you wrap up bubble, a lot of times it becomes like this hard plasticky kind of stuff. you need the give. So I usually wrap it up in bubble, and then I put packing peanuts like all around the whole thing. And in a bigger box, you probably want at least an inch or two between of everything else. You don't want to like pack it so tight that there's very little space in between the glass and the box, because when you think about it, there's some punctures that are like an inch deep. So that's usually the rule that I go with, is at least an inch between everything else. I try to do 2 inches. For these glasses, I'll put them in a huge ass box, to be honest, and so that that thing. And you get scammers, but you can't let that hold you back. I mean, I can understand if like it was your grandma's glassware that's kind of sentimental and you had to let it go, and then some jerk like is scamming you for that. That sucks, but karma comes back to everyone. That's just all I'm gonna say. Next up, we have this gold silver 1837 Liberty seated dime pendant. This is actually 14 karat. We actually tested this. And why aren't the photos larger? As you can see, I was hand modeling this one. This is what the back looks like. You see these a lot. These are kind of older antique things. I don't know why people would wear this kind of stuff. To me, it doesn't seem fashionable at all, but it's definitely an older style. I would say, this kind of stuff in the 60s was very popular. And you get excited at first because it's, 14 karat gold, but the silver coin, the silver dime in there weighs a lot comparatively to everything else, I should say. So you got to put that in factor. Some of these are decorative, so you're actually not going to get the value of, or actually going to get more of the value from the gold. I think we took a best offer for 60 something on this. The gold weight and the silver weight aren't nothing. Silver was actually worth a lot of money like 2 or 3 years ago. Or actually, it was like longer. So the prices of gold and silver have gone down, over the last 4 or 5 years. So you take all these kind of things into consideration, and of course we tested it with acid test. Now, it's not an acid test where you put acid directly on the stuff. It's the scratch test, and for those that don't know, you can search that on YouTube for scratch testing gold and silver with acid. So just be careful with that stuff. But yeah, so this kind of stuff sells very, very well. Any kind of bullion, gold, silver, that stuff sells. Like that, and like vintage video games, I find are the two things that sell through so fast, like instantly, pretty much. Next up, we have this Whiz Kids Hero Clicks. Now, for those that are not familiar with these, are pretty much like little tiny figures that are on bases, and you play with a game. Usually, it involves a dice and these cards. The Marvel and DC ones are the probably most popular ones out of the series. I think they did Star Wars ones, but I'm not completely sure. These ones were actually horror ones, so they were like, there wasn't any licensed horror stuff in there, but we got this huge collection of stuff from it. It appeared to have been maybe from a kid's collection. Maybe he went to college and was just like, forget it. It was donated, a huge box of stuff like this. I ended up separating everything. For those that saw the video last week, those Magic the Gathering cards we sold was part of this thing. And so I painstakingly put all this stuff together on this table. And I was going to actually go through the whole thing of like matching these up, because there's like lots of doubles and triples and quadruples. But I just said forget it. So I didn't do that with that. But anyways, this we started this at $9.99. This sold for $79.99. 152 of these. So roughly about 50 cents each. Hero Clicks, don't get excited if you ever see these. They don't go for a lot of money. And Ann Avery saying, I've never heard of Whiz Kids, so look it up on eBay. They're these little figures. They're really, really not worth that much, but if you can get them for a reasonable amount of money, like really cheap, you should definitely pick them up, especially if they're in huge lots. And they're in good condition, because I've seen some of these things that are actually pretty beat up. These are actually in mint condition because they were very well taken care of. There was actually maybe a couple of them that were broken. We got Gina Joseph in the house. How you doing? Deals is saying peanut and bubble wrap, great tip for glassware. Yeah, just like I said, the peanuts help the cushion if it gets dropped. And I've been at the post office when I've seen them manhandle other people's packages, so just the more packing stuff that you can do, the better. But definitely, I definitely highly suggest anyone that's into glassware to invest in packing peanuts. I know they get everywhere, and I hate them, to be honest with everyone. I really hate packing peanuts with a passion. But there's something about the packing peanuts where if it's dropped, it gives a little bit inside the box. You don't want a solid. You don't want it to shake. Don't get me wrong. You don't want it to shake when you do the shake test. But when you put packing peanuts in there, it just helps out tremendously. So yeah. Next up, we have these ASE study guides. These are Mitchell one thing. We get in tons of books every week, and we got a large box of like I think they're called, like, I forget what they're called, but they're those, transmission books, and we went through all those, and they weren't really worth anything. But I noticed that these books actually were going for like $7 to $10 to $12 each. So I decided to lot them all together. There was a couple of doubles, and so we actually sold these. We took a best offer for $50, and with media mail too. So I highly suggest, if you're shipping books, to use the media mail option. You can drop the price for your buyers, and they can really appreciate that. Because if you were to ship this like priority, just from the weight alone, it would be a lot. It'd be like probably just around $30. So use media mail for shipping books. You just remember, you can't ship magazines or any of that kind of stuff. And we got Zainin, hanging with Zainin in the house. Wow, Steam It is 3 years old today. So we got hanging with Zainin. He is a Steamian, and for those that don't know, Steam It is just another social media based on blockchain technology. Next up, we have this antique carnival glass butterfly scarab hat pin. We got a huge lot of hat pins in, and initially, when we get stuff in, they wanted for me to list the whole thing, but I basically took some of those hat pins apart, the collection, and sold some individual ones, because I sold some individual ones are actually going for good money. We took a best offer for $19 on this. For those that don't know, let me see if I can have a larger shot of this. Hat pins look like this. They're kind of long, and I'm not exactly sure what they do, and that's something I should probably research, because I don't come across hat pins too often. This was just actually one collection, so I actually learned a lot. I don't know really what their functions are, so if you know their function, please leave a comment or in the chat, definitely. But this was actually a really cool Art Deco-y kind of carnival glass looking kind of thing. And yeah, so instead of like getting a few bucks for it, combining a whole lot, I was able to pull some individual ones out, and we got $19 for this one. Next up, we have this Chanel glossy black metal bracelet. We get in some Chanel stuff in from time to time. This is actually a really nice bracelet here. It's pretty solid. It wasn't gold or anything like that, or it could have been gold plated, but even, to be honest, like, even saying gold plated is really not even worth it that much these days. Gold plating is like literally pennies when you really think about it. But this is a nice solid bracelet, very well built. We took a best offer for $75 on that. And let's see here. Deals is saying holds hats on the lady's hair. Now that makes sense. In the 20s, I guess in the teens, 20s, and 30s, the women wore a lot of hats, so that makes a total bunch of sense. Pin through the hat, right through the hair. Yep, there you go, Ann Avery. Thank you guys for sure. That totally makes a bunch of sense, and now I know. Anyways, we took a best offer for this for $75, so look out for Chanel stuff. There's actually some knockoffs, so just be careful whenever you're dealing with Chanel stuff to kind of look against other things that have sold to make sure that you're not dealing with a Chinese knockoff. Next up, we have this Tiffany & Company Elza Peretti Silver 925 diamond stacking ring. This is actually a sterling silver ring with a little tiny diamond, and I don't even want to even try to attempt to guess the carats on this thing. It's probably like a 0.1 or 0.2, and I think you can determine carats by the millimeter in some regards. If you measure actually the width of a diamond, you can actually determine the carats just without having to actually weigh it. In a pro tip here, I want to tell you real quick about usually real diamonds. If you don't have a tester, you'll usually see this hole in the back of it where it's placed, or in a ring in the setting, there'll be a hole behind it. If usually, and I'm saying like 99% of the time, if you don't see the hole behind a diamond, it's usually probably a cubic zirconian. You can usually tell, if something like looks amazingly brilliant, it's usually not going to be, a real diamond, because those are very rare for beautiful, brilliant diamonds. Hanging with Zayn says, is there a diamond in there? Yes, there is. There's a little tiny diamond in there. But anyways, it's more about the, to be honest, it's more about the name. I think the weight, what was the weight on the silver on this? Like 2.6 grams. It's like literally $5 or less just for the weight. It's the basically Tiffany and Company and the Elsa Peretti name. But anyways, like I said, this stuff, silver, jewelry, any of that real stuff sells very well. Next up, we have this Marvel Ant-Man Wasp Hyundai Veloster, whatever that is. Movie premiere promo. Promos actually do very well in eBay, especially something like this. I got excited when I first saw this because I thought it was actually a Hot Wheels one, and that would have been really super amazing. It was, I think, it was 1/43rd scale. It's a little larger than a Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels is about, what did they say Hot Wheels is? 1/64 scale. HO scale is 157, and 1/43rd is just a little bigger. So the lower the number goes, the bigger it is. So like a 1/18 scale is like a foot long. A 1-to-1 scale would be like the size of a car, like a real car. But anyways, we took a best offer for $30 on this, and I was hoping to get more because I've seen other ones sell for like between $60 and $80. So I don't know exactly what the deal was. Maybe people just weren't into this anymore because the Ant-Man movie from Part 2 like died away or died off. Because that's another thing too, is hype. Hype plays a huge role in reselling in some some things for sure. And so that was that. Next up, we have this green B-17 WW2 World War II Fortress jacket. This wasn't like an authentic one from World War II. It was like kind of a reproduction for a special event, and I think it was a special club, as we can see here. And there we go. So like, made exclusively for the EAA's B-17 tour. Always look out for World War II memorabilia. That stuff is pretty hot still, and especially jackets and flight suits and things like that. We took a best offer for $50 on this. This is stuff you can find at the thrift stores and estate sales, and especially estate sales is a place to look out for World War II memorabilia, because people are going on to the other plane and leaving their stuff behind. So definitely look out for World War II stuff. Next up, we have this antique Yellick embroidery vest. This thing is super old. I didn't list this thing, so I don't know. I didn't do any research on this. So I don't know exactly what this is. It's some sort of antique vest, and we took a best offer for, I want to say we took a best offer for like 130 or 119 on this thing. I have no idea what this is. If you know what it is, please leave a comment below. That's Yellick embroidery vest. I don't know what it is, but it was something that was sold in our shop, so I thought I'd, give a shout out to the seller, Stockton. Oh, it was Paula. Congratulations, that's a nice sale. Next up, we have these. Oh, speaking of World War II stuff, here's a cake topper, and see how much damage this thing has, and it's still actually sold for about $40. This is plaster, and it's missing some paint, as we can see here, 1948, and it says I think either authentic baker or 1955 or something like that. So definitely look out for cake toppers. I know some of the old vintage ones actually can go for a pretty good amount of money. Hanging with Zayn said this last thing looked like Aladdin's vest. That's too funny. That's exactly what it was. Next up, we have this Coach purse. Pink poppy sequin. Coach purses have gone down in value, in my opinion, in the last 10 years. They used to actually go for a lot. Now, ever since, the advent of the internet and they just mass produce these things now. You can find these at the outlet stores. We took a best offer for $40 on this. What are you doing? Why are you taking my money? No, put it back. My daughter thought it'd be a good idea to come up here and take my money for no reason. Jeez. The things that kids do when you're streaming. Next up, we have this vintage New York Yankees Cooperstown sweater. 90s hypebeast stuff is totally relevant now. I was trying to tell some of the managers in some of the different stores to look out for 90s sweaters and t-shirts. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that's demanding some high dollars these days. All the hype beast and all the kind of just the kids, the 19-year-olds, the 20-year-olds, they're all into stuff from the 90s. But anyways, we took a best offer for $50. This is stuff that you can find all day long at thrift stores. It's just, there's, the Slobby's World. It's like a Netflix show. It's kind of a weird show about this very eccentric dude that buys 90s stuff. But anyways, that all plays into everything. Like I said, fashion is, I don't get it. I'm almost 40 years old, and I don't know if I'd wear this. But anyways, I mean, it's rare. It's like acid wash kind of purpley thing. It's New York Yankees. Lou Gehrig, I would suggest, on there. But look out for this kind of 90s stuff. Next up, we have this World War I German pin military helmet. I want to say, I'm trying to forget what these were for. Oh, that's right. It says it in the title. So if you got wounded in the war, you got this cheap you got this cheap medal saying, "Hey, congratulations, you got wounded in war. Thank you for your service. Here's a medal." I never got that whole thing. Anyways, the World War II ones, the Nazi ones, will have the swastika on these, so that's usually how you can tell if it's World War I or World War II. You can still probably, I think people get away with selling the swastika ones on eBay. It just depends, actually. There's some Nazi things you can't sell, which is like a majority of them, but there's actually a few things of Nazi memorabilia that you could sell. But this was actually World War I, 1914 to 1916, I believe. I have to double check on that. And it wasn't any like gold or anything like that. It's another thing too. It's like, geez, at least could you give them? They get wounded. Could you at least give them a freaking gold medal? That's like real gold. They can actually like sell it. Oh yeah, yeah. Just me saying, kids always know when parents are distracted. Yeah, no, I swear every time I turn on, like I go live, like it's quiet for hours. Quiet. It's a good time to start streaming. Turn on the streaming, you push the start button, pots are banging, people are yelling, everyone decides to have a conversation. That's what happens when you start live streaming. Next up, we have this Heidi Ott doll. These are handmade in Switzerland. These are actually really cool dolls. They're vintage. I want to say they're from the 80s or the early 90s. I think these ones are actually from the 80s. And they're about, how tall are they? Yeah, they're about 11 inches tall, I would just suspect. Let me see if I actually wrote it down. 12 inches. These are very rare. You're probably rarely going to see these in the U.S., to be honest, especially in this condition. I mean, someone paid $214 originally for this thing in I'm not assuming that says 1985, September. I mean, they're really well made. Don't get me wrong. They're very high quality, but, for the retail on these, they did go for that much. That's crazy. Everything's all hand painted, all the eyes and stuff like that. But anyways, look out for this brand, Heidi Ott. If you can find these for cheap, definitely pick them up, especially if they have their hang tags. They don't go for a ton of money. There's some of them actually that go for pretty good money, but for the most part, they don't. I think the doll market is completely imploded over the last 10 years, to be honest. Like, no, there's not too many people, just like plates. I stay away from plates, definitely. I actually run from them. Oh, Nintendo Guru hit the is that the Evilos? Yes, sir. The Evilos is here. I've transformed into the Thrift Shop Hustler and all kinds of other. Geez, like I do a lot of stuff, man. Still, um, Nintendo Guru. I've been really thinking about getting back into doing amiibo customs and stuff like that. I kind of like literally taking a break from all the artwork. That career was just so much drama and so much stuff, man. But yeah, I miss you, dude. Bobby, you're an awesome guy. You're a really cool guy. I really appreciate all your support with all the art stuff that I used to do. And I'll get back into it at some point. Brother Obi says, how do you know how to list these items without names? I don't know what you were talking about. What? So, Brother Obi, uh, what item? It depends, like, what you're talking about. Then I can actually let you know. Nintendo Guru says, I missed you, man. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I've tuned in and checked out some of your stuff lately. We did a Nintendo or Super Nintendo Know Your Stuff video here on the Thrift Shop Hustler channel, like a couple years ago, maybe a year ago. So definitely go and check that out. But anyways, yeah, so this Heidi doll, definitely go and look out for those. Next up, we have these Warhammer plastic metal miniature figures as part of that collection I was telling you about. This was separate from those other figures. Those are WizKids HeroClix. These are Warhammer figures. Usually they don't come painted, but for some reason they came painted. Oh, another thing too, the bases that these come on, even though this is 1992, you can actually slide in like other figures sometimes on top of those. So that might not exactly tell you what it is, but miniatures have definitely. Did you really come back up here for more? And take the box. Now she's coming up here to steal my boxes. So yeah, Warhammer figures. Definitely look them up. Check them out. This show has gone to hell. Next up are these Britain's led zoo animal figures. We had a bunch of these come in, and I was gonna lot them all up, but then I decided to take them all apart as far as the lot of the collection and do separate auctions. And they're all tigers. Well, I think one of them's a lioness, actually. Or actually, no, they're all tigers. You're right. So definitely check those out. They'll say the names on the bottom right here. See if I can actually see. They're Britain's Limited. So Britain's LTD. Look out for these. Any kind of actually toy soldiers that are metal. If you can get them for a reasonable price, definitely check them out for sure. And Brother Obi says, I'm saying when you find them at a garage sale with no labels, how do you come up with the descriptions and names? I still don't understand what you're talking about. What? Clothes? Card goods? I guess anything? So like for the most part, okay, so usually things will have tags. Things will have copyright dates on them, toys, stuff like that. Look through the whole thing, whatever you're selling. If it's got a tag, it'll give you some clues. I've been doing this for 30 years, 30 plus years. So a lot of my knowledge is just experience. So if you find something that you have no idea what it is, you can actually do reverse image searches on Google now. I do, but she's going to have to wait. Yeah, you can do reverse Google searches, which is basically you take a photo. Oh, he thinks he means the dolls. Yeah, it's usually dolls will have so older dolls and just dolls in general, they'll have usually names in the back of their neck or by their butt or by their waist. Some of them will have them on their back of the legs. There's a lot of dolls that won't have anything, and that's one of the things that you'll it's just being experienced. And I don't like dolls. Like, I stay away from dolls. Like I said, the doll market is not that great. So back to Britain's LTDs. Look out for those. The animals actually do very well. There's a lot of soldiers that really don't do that very well. But definitely look out for the animals. There's some of those sets actually go for hundreds of dollars if you can find them, and thousands of dollars if you can find them brand new. Next up is we have some hat pins. So this is actually part of the hat pin lot that I was talking about. These are actually the ones that weren't that great, like as quality, or they didn't really stick out as individual things to sell. We actually sold this. We had these on bid, sold for $9.99. I'm pretty sure, you know, you'd probably get a few dollars each for these if you sold them individually. But we decided to lot these ones together. And speaking of which, we had some amber ones, and I decided, you know, some of these amber I think was actually probably just plastic, and I put that in the auction, and so we did that, and this sold for $9.99. So like, you know, so I'm saying, kind of broke the whole lot apart. Next up, we have this Nike Air Force NBA pack shoes. These we actually took a best offer for $40 on these. We don't really sell too many shoes. Basically, shoes and clothes are extremely high, like long tail items, and we don't really do that much. And Jessme is actually saying, please explain the reverse photo search. I don't think I can do that live, but if you go to Google, actually, you know what? If you just look on YouTube on how to do a reverse Google search, you'll find it. Like I'm sure there's dozens of videos on it. You basically go to google.com, you click on the little photo icon, which is like the images, or you click images, and then you go to the photo icon, and you can actually upload a photo to Google with a little couple of keywords, and then you press search, and it'll actually will try to pull anything from the massive Google database that it has like something like it. So this is good for art. If you have a signature on a piece of art that you don't know who the signature is, you can do a reverse Google search. Now it's not perfect. It's kind of frustrating actually, but it's better than nothing. It's better than trying to figure out something out of nothing. It actually will give you, it's pretty much good for giving you leads. Sometimes it'll actually give you exact matches of things, sometimes in books, sometimes things that are in articles. So that's pretty much how the reverse Google thing works. But like I said, search it on YouTube. I'm sure there's dozens of videos on that. That does it for today. I apologize for all the different kind of breaks and the mind farts and the interruptions and things like that. But hope everyone has a great day. Definitely click the like button, subscribe. And if you have any questions on the back end, definitely leave them in the comments and I'll get right back to you. And once again, thank you everyone for the amazing support. We're over 7,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate that, and we'll see you next time. Take care.